Have you ever wondered about the Freemasons? Are you in the Freemasons, or is a friend of yours in the Freemasons? Well, according to the Catholic Church, you are in grave sin, or your friend is in grave sin, or all those who are participating in the Freemasons are in grave sin. As of November 13th, 2023, a few days from the recording of this video, it came out of the news saying the Vatican's dicastery for the doctrine of the faith has reaffirmed the Catholic Church's teachings that laity or clerics participating in Freemasonry are in a state of grave sin. The DDF released the November 13th document to the public with the signatures of Pope Francis and the DDF prefect Cardinal Victor Fernandez, urging the faithful not to participate in or affiliate with Freemasonry groups. Before this, I didn't realize how strongly a position the Catholic Church held against the Freemasons. So who are the Freemasons and what do they believe, and why is the Catholic Church so against them, as well as many Protestant groups? Well, I'm going to be pulling on a couple of sources, mainly from Ron Rhodes, who was a professor of mine when I was in seminary, looking at the challenge of the cults. And if you want to go into more detail, you can look at another book of his called Reasoning from the Scriptures with Masons. He has some really good work out there on this material and cults in general. But it's pretty interesting who is in the Masons. He says some very famous Americans have been Masons, including 14 American presidents, George Washington for one, 18 vice presidents, 5 chief justices of the Supreme Court, Paul Revere, Benjamin Franklin, James Monroe, Alexander Hamilton, General Douglas MacArthur, J. Edgar Hoover, and Barry Goldwater. Also to be counted as Masons were John Philip Sousa, Mark Twain, W.C. Fields, Henry Ford, Harry Houdini, Cecil B. DeMille, John Wayne, Clark Gable, Ernest Borgnine, Roy Rogers, Red Skelton, J.C. Penney, and Norman Vincent Peale. Boy, that makes me want to become a Mason, hearing all these people's names put in there. Some noted non-American Masons were Wolfgang Amadeus Mozart, Francois Voltaire, Franz Joseph Haydn, Sir Arthur Conan Doyle, Oscar Wilde, and Sir Winston Churchill. Does it make you want to become a Mason? It's intriguing, isn't it? So what is the beef with the Catholic Church and some of the Protestant churches against the Masons? Well, how old are they? Well, there's the legends say that some Masons say that they would go back to even the Garden of Eden, where Adam and Eve made fig leaves to represent the aprons that the Masons wear. Some say it goes back to Solomon, when Masonry was invented, supposedly. The actual beginning, according to Rhodes, was in London in 1717 and arrived in the U.S. in 1733. And the first papal condemnation was in 1738 by Pope Clement XII, followed not long after that by Pope Pius IX in 1873 in his encyclical describing how Masons attacked the church, and then Pope Leo XIII, which expanded the church's position in 1884. So that gives you some idea of how long the Masons have been around and how long the church has been against them. Now, on November 17th, 2023, the Vatican Dicastery for the Doctrine of the Faith also condemned the Freemasons. The letter coming out, as I said, on the 13th. So why does the Catholic Church, and I'll add in some Protestant denominations as well, condemn Freemasonry? Well, some of the points that are brought out in these encyclicals and arguments from the church, and I'll leave a link to one of their websites in the description, cites the issue of secrecy. There are lots of things that go on in secret that are questionable. They don't want you to know what's going on for whatever reason. Freemasonry also is said to be naturalistic, putting too much emphasis on human nature and reason being one's guide. The church doesn't think that reason in general is bad for being one's guide. They're just saying that the Freemasons put too much emphasis on that and not enough on revealed scripture. They also say that the Freemasons are hostile to the church. They are religious in a sense, but not really a religion. We're going to look at that in a few minutes as to what they are in terms of religion. And then Masons desire to secularize marriage, they say, as well as deny Catholic teaching to children, saying that they shouldn't be catechized and brought up in the Catholic Church, but they should be given the opportunity at a certain age to search out their own desires and beliefs on religion. They also say that the Freemasons encourage government not to recognize God. Even though they all believe in God, they supposedly, according to this one Catholic website, says that they want to encourage governments not to recognize God, I guess, in different political matters. So what are some of the beliefs of the Masons? Well, there are a lot of them, and it's not ubiquitous. I'm going to look at some of the characteristic beliefs that the Masons hold to. For example, is it a religion? Well, this is debated, and if you look at different people in the Freemasons, some will say flat out, yes, it is a religion, and some will say, and I think most will say, no, it is not a religion. It's said to be a religion by some people who say that there's a lot of emphasis put on religious practices and rites. You can't be an atheist to get in the Freemasons. You have to believe in a God. But they don't care what God you believe in. They don't care if you're a Christian, a Jew, a Muslim, a deist. I mentioned there were several American presidents who were probably deists in there. As long as you believe in a God, you can be. You can't be an atheist. You have to believe in a God. There's no specific religious teachings they want to pull from. They don't want to pull from the Bible, for example. The Bible is just a symbol. It is not seen as a specifically revealed text from God, or they would be endorsing a particular religion. And they don't want to say that Jesus is God. He just, for them, is a good moral teacher. And also they believe in salvation by way of ethics, that living good and doing good things is good enough for salvation. Now, I realize that some of you may be Masons, and I realize that some of you may know Masons. I have some Masons in my family, or at least one, and some Masons who are friends of mine. And I just wanted to bring up in this video the issue of Freemasonry and the news that came out with the Catholic Church. So just to be aware of what some of the Masons teach, and I realize I'm generalizing, but these points I think that Ron Rhodes brings out and others bring out that I've seen from other people as well are pretty standard. That it has to believe in God, but not any particular God. They don't see the Bible as God's specific word. They don't believe in Jesus as being the sole way to salvation. He's just a good moral teacher, and they highlight ethical living. So if you're not aware of Freemasonry, I wanted to just throw this video out there and kind of get you informed as to what the Masons believed. Again, if you're wanting some good books on the topic of those books by Ron, I'll leave the links in the description. Hope this was interesting to you. I've read the story and thought it was pretty interesting. Didn't realize the Catholic Church was so against Freemasons, but they have been, and it's been out in the news, and it seems to be a hot topic. So there you go.